Okay, well, here we are, you guys. It is our first live Q&A call for what month are we in? May. Oh my gosh, which is exciting because I feel like there's been so much to explore. There's been so much to talk about, and I think this theme this month might be my most favorite thing to go over and to discuss. So I hope it opens up a floodgate of questions as we go throughout the whole thing. So this call is for you guys, and right now it's Ingrid and I hanging out, which I know is a beautiful Friday afternoon here in Seattle. And no matter where you guys are at, hopefully you're enjoying the afternoon. So I totally understand not wanting to be on here, but I wanted to cover a couple things, and then I will address some questions. And then if Ingrid or anyone else that pops on, if you've got a question, I want to make sure that we cover that. So just to kind of frame what my goal is for these calls is once a month, the first Friday of every month is offering a live Q&A. So a couple reasons why I want to offer that is I like the live opportunity for you guys to see each other, to meet one another, because you're going to start really kind of becoming, I hopefully bonded through this whole thing, because everybody's going through this experience. Revelations will be, hopefully transpiring over time as we go about and do this. So the idea to be able to have you guys see each other, share your recipes, ask questions, that's what the whole premise of this live Q&A is. And then of course, every Friday in between, I'll be going live in the group just to talk about, whatever's the theme for the week. If somebody's brought up a question that I thought was really valuable to kind of dissect and go into a little bit more, and just to basically be there and be another resource for you guys. So these calls, I really hope that you get the most out of them. They are the first Friday of every month at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which it was a shift from last month and the month before. They've been changing, I'll admit, time-wise, because everybody's schedules have been changing with school no longer. So I apologize if the time changed and it kind of upset your schedule, but nonetheless, it's recorded, and you guys know that you've got access to me anyways. So I do hope that you leverage that. So a couple things I wanted to address that is, probably everybody's experiencing right now is, for those that are starting with the refresh, everything's delayed. So I totally understand that, and it's frustrating, and I think everything's delayed. I mean, hello, Amazon Prime is not even an option anymore to get it overnight or the next day. So we're so used to having that immediate fix and getting something sent to us. Usually, the refresh will ship and it'll be there in 5 to 7 business days. And unfortunately, because of the lack of, obviously, personnel to actually package and ship it, I think we'll start seeing that change now that the country's starting to open up in different phases. So the moral of that is I don't want anyone to think that they're not starting with everybody else. I think that was a really big concern for a lot of you, especially for those that are reading the emails through the Energy Prep Week. So here's what I want to address, and here's what I want to suggest that you do until your refresh comes, okay? I would suggest reread everything that you got from the beginning, okay? Because there's a lot of information, and I get it. But it's the only way that I can administer the information, because some people, are just like, hey, I'll analyze it on my own. Other people look at it like me and go, oh my God, that's a lot of information, okay? So just take it day by day, literally take the information in the emails, and please, I really want to encourage you to go back and re-review it, okay? And if you do have a question, just shoot me an email, because I want to make sure that I can respond to you, so you don't feel like this is big cluster of, oh my God, there's so much information, I don't even know where to start. I'm the type that if I get too much information thrown at me, I'm paralyzed, right? I'm paralyzed with so much information, I don't even know where to start, which is kind of how I feel about this online school. I'm my preschooler and my kindergartner have so much information flying in, I cannot keep up, to the point where I'm I'm over it, right? So I don't want anyone to be over this experience because of the emails that you're getting, but again, to use them as a resource to go back and review, okay? So until you get your refresh, what could you do from a health perspective? You're looking to really, you're anxious to start, obviously, that was the whole goal, is to start as soon as we can. I want you to go through the meal guides And if you did get the refresh and waiting on that, test out a couple recipes. Try them so you kind of get the hang of, the act of putting them together. Start maybe modeling what some of those are, and look at the meal guide ahead in the reboot phase, which is phase 2 for most of you, and look at the meals in there and what's required of them for preparation. So it's kind of like do your homework right now as if you're about ready to take a test in 2 weeks, right? Like I was a total crammer, so I'm really good at cramming. But I would take the meal guides, print them out if you can, and really comb through some of the recipes and read the information, because I tried to break it down per phase, what to expect. And so with the advantage and the silver lining through all of this with the delay is that you have time to re-review and be sure that you're set up for success, right? So I never want anyone to get their 3-day refresh and be like, okay, well, I just started it, but I didn't read anything. And I've had that happen before. And then it kind of, puts a little salt in the whole experience. And I don't want anyone to go, well, I felt like I screwed up because I didn't do exactly what you had laid out. But in regards to the meal guides too, they are just there to make things simple for you. So the 3-day refresh, I had repeated a couple recipe ideas. You're not married to them. You're going to get all the options in the 3-day refresh of different recipes that you can try. So if something's in that meal guide that I gave you, the PDF, if you're not jamming with it, then, you can go and you can pick and choose, because there's a list of foods that you can pick and choose from for your meals, especially with dinner and lunch, so just know that you have a little bit of flexibility if you're kind of the type that likes to, my family likes to have this kind of vegetable, so I'm going to sub that in instead of Taryn's Moroccan, it's not mine, but for the Moroccan salad, whatever. Okay. So again, just take the time to re-review everything. Take a little, inventory of some of the recipes, maybe try and test a couple, and look ahead at the reboot phase as well, because that is, something that come day 2 of the refresh, you're going to want to kind of start exploring what's ahead. And I try and prompt you in those emails, which, obviously you're getting them ahead of the game versus, where you're at in the moment. So kind of, not ideal with the shipping delays, but at the same time, I also think that it could be really advantageous to have all the information on hand. So I hope that makes sense. And I hope that gives you a little bit of permission to release any stress or built up angst that you had against the whole process, and just know, hey, you know what? It is what it is. I'll get it when I can. Right. And plus, you know what? We're going into a beautiful weekend here in Seattle, and hopefully wherever you guys are at, you have this kind of weather, and it's Mother's Day, right? And so I hope you guys are going to do something and enjoy it. Chrissy and Ingrid, we were talking last night because I have the luxury of being able to see them. They're local to me. And we were talking about Mother's Day and saying, hey, you know what? We're going to go and enjoy the day. I want you guys to just celebrate yourselves. I want you to celebrate whoever that you may be celebrating that day, and just appreciate it for what it is. Don't get caught up in the dieting and I better not eat this, I better not eat that. It's one day, right? And I mean, if you completely ruin it for yourself, just know that you're going to have tools to get on track on Monday. And I highly encourage you to kind of mentally prepare yourself for starting something fresh on Monday. And that means taking some of the recipes and implementing them into your meal plans. All right. So hopefully you can maybe use this last week, or you're using this weekend to purge the pantries, go through and get all of the stuff that sucks your willpower out of the house. Okay. And I'm kind of the one that's like, I don't really care if your kids are going to get pissed off. If you know that bag of M&Ms that is staring right there, or that box of Oreos is your nemesis, then either hide it or just get rid of it. I mean, do your kids need to be eating Oreos constantly? No. But if it is becoming a problem, then get rid of this problem foods in your pantry and in your refrigerator. I do this exercise probably every other month, and it's amazing when I still find that are stuck in the cracks and crevices of stuff that I've hid. And guess what? It's out of sight, out of mind. And guess what? Nobody has requested it or asked for it. So, it's kind of like the Halloween candy. I let my kids take 5 pieces of candy, and then I tuck them away. And I said, okay, you know what? When we kind of have our treat moments, then we'll pull from that. Well, guess what? I found so much old candy that nobody's asked for. I shouldn't say it too loud. So it's powerful when you can kind of tuck that stuff away if you can't get rid of it altogether. So use this kind of weekend to just purge, write down some notes. I really want to encourage you guys to use your journals and start implementing a schedule and a practice every day, you know, at least during the week, if that's kind of when your structure is, if you'd like to, you know, at least enjoy unwinding a little bit, or, you know, unwinding that schedule, you know, do that during the weekends and allow yourself to be pretty regimented during the week. Your body likes routine, right? Your mindset likes routine. Nobody likes to have a routine just completely get flipped upside down. So if you kind of can look ahead, and I don't know if, you know, your schedules are starting to fill up quite yet, but if they are, especially with, you know, online meetings, or, you know, if you are able to get out and explore in your, you know, wherever you're at, make sure you're kind of reverse engineering that so you can be prepped and ready. There's nothing worse than going into your day and being completely unprepared and then being so upset with yourself and then it kind of forcing you into kind of some old patterns, right? Our goal is to really quite, you know, peel back some of those old patterns and work to understand the root cause. And I think once we get you on this path of understanding anti-inflammatory like foods that are fueling for your body, and then leveling that up a little bit and starting to layer on some of the understandings behind the hormones and what it has to do during versus various phases of your cycle, I hope that this starts to kind of bring more awareness and you become really hyper in tune with your body. Okay. Because I feel like it's so easy to lose touch with that when we're so busy. Right. And right now, hopefully the luxury of having less things scheduled will allow you to be really, really in tune with your body. So I just wanted to get those few things out of the way. And I wanted to make sure all of you guys are muted right now. But please unmute yourself if you have a question. This is, again, an open forum for you guys. And don't think that, oh, I'm embarrassed to ask that question. Like, seriously, there's no stupid question. I just want to make sure that we address it. It's a safe place, just like the group. And I want to make sure you guys share and feel comfortable being willing to share. It's always the awkward silence.
Hi, Taryn. Hi, girls.
Hi, Claudine. How are you?
Good. Well, I'm actually in the middle of cooking my lunch right now, which is why I wanted to stay muted. But I'm doing the sautéed kale with the TMP Caesar dressing with apple, avocado, and pumpkin seeds. And then I'm also in the midst of making my kale and chicken soup, which is processed.
I'm jealous.
And I did my broccoli soup last night or the night before. So I'm set up. I've kind of looked ahead and know which, you know, how much to freeze and how much to keep. But definitely I feel like it helps to be prepared, like to look ahead at the menus, meal plan, you know, shop. And then for me, maybe not for other moms or women, but for me, I'm not a big cook. My husband is. And so as my daughter told me, one of them yesterday, that I've been in the kitchen more in the last 2 weeks than she's ever seen me. So, because I'm not making them eat all the foods that I'm eating. I've tried, and some they will, and some we're modifying. But I just feel like it's super helpful to have it all prepared as much as possible ahead of time. Yep. So I know I'm asking, and for me, it also takes extra time when I'm in the grocery store. Like I sent you, like, well, there's like 3 different types of kale. Which kale is going to be the best thing that, you know, cooks in a crock pot and won't wither away? You know, or, you know, there's tons of little things like that. But I'm looking at these and going, wait a minute, what should I do here for this? Just because I'm a chef, I'm sure Bob would look at them and whip it all up as he did. He started to make a chicken, what do you call it? So the carrot essence, he did chicken, you know, like natural chicken soup. Yeah. And he took 2 of the chicken thighs that I had for the other soup. I'm like, no, what are you doing? And he's like, no, this will all work. So I think it's just super helpful to have the recipes and the resources of you guys to ask questions about.
Good. Well, I'm glad. And I, you know, like I said, make sure if you're uncertain about something, just ask the question. And, you know, I will attest to the unpreparedness, because I was making my carrot and ginger soup only to scroll down after I'd thrown everything into the saucepan. And like, I used all my zucchini up. So fortunately I had zucchini noodles that were in the fridge that hadn't been used yet. So you know what, there they go. They went into the soup because I I was out of zucchini. So, you know, you just make do when you can, but having that preparation, looking ahead, will be really helpful too. So, thanks for chatting and asking. And Amy will attest to it too, because she's one of our seasoned vets, Anne Marie as well. You guys have gone through a lot of this too. So any tips or anything, or anything to share? I think Ingrid might have a question. Do you have a question, Ingrid?
No, I just everybody keeps,
Uh-oh. I think you froze. Yeah. Okay. It's not me. All right. If you can hear us, you froze a little bit, Ingrid. There you go. You're back.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm back.
Anybody have any questions or anything that they want to talk about? Amy, our seasoned vet, anything you want to share? How about your results? I think you need to speak to that. Can we just get a little highlight feature on that?
Okay, well, before I forget, so it's funny that you're saying, oh, I ran out of zucchini. I made that carrot ginger soup without zucchini because I didn't have any. I'm like, oh, you know, I actually really don't like zucchini. So, but it's like, because it hides in everything, but it's a texture thing, like roasted zucchini. But I made it without it, and it was disgusting. And I forgot the coconut milk to add in it too. That made, like, I threw out the batch, and I don't throw anything out these days. Like, I freeze everything. It's like these closet hoarder genes in my family are coming out. I freeze everything. But I threw that out because it tasted so horrible. So make sure you have everything. Like, don't go rogue or think, oh, I won't change anything. It changes it. And then I'm sorry, because I don't think I knew. Was it Claudine? Did you end up figuring out your kale thing?
I did. Taryn, I went out to Taryn because I was trying to race it to the grocery store this morning to get it done for lunch today, but that didn't happen. So yeah, because you know, there's so many different kinds. And Taryn, you had a great suggestion about getting the already chopped up, thicker kale, because I have been looking at like the big, strong leafy ones that I have usually cut and made kale chips out of.
Yeah.
But then I had a container of baby kale here, and so I was like, should I throw that in the soup? So I'm glad I waited, because now I'll run back out. I haven't had a chance to go to the store again and get that. The thicker, it sounds like the really rough kind is the best one in the soup.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, do you live near a Trader Joe's?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's my easiest thing. I'm like, okay, baby kale, good. Like the other kale, that one I'll cook. So anyways, so what did you want, Taryn? Like results and stuff?
Yes, because just to kind of frame a little bit of, you know, she was kind of one of my like test groupies and like guinea pig, if you will, when we went through this over the holidays. And it was a really vital part and kind of refining this whole thing. So would you be willing to share kind of where you know, everything that you've gone through and your results?
Sure. So I am 44. It's funny because you're talking about all the hormones. I actually, pause. It's done? Okay, just turn off my iPad then. You can play quietly. Sorry, birthday Zoom meeting, and it's done.
Can I do something to learn on the iPad?
No, not right now. Okay, so I had like 3 kids in like 4 years, so my hormones were out of whack. Oh, and it's funny that you're talking about hormones because I don't have any of those. I ended up going through menopause at 40, and my it just weight kept coming on. Everybody's like, oh, you're gonna lose it after kids, and I just didn't. And then it was, well, I just need to work out harder. I just need to eat these healthy foods, and it wasn't working. And so when Taryn posted this thing, and when I started watching her going through all of her hormone problems and the same kind of issues, and she said, you know, I'm trying this out and I'm really liking it, I signed up for it. I was like, I'm doing it. I don't care. And I went all in, and I did start with a 3-day refresh, and that was like 7 or 8 pounds of bloat gone in 3 days. Like it was immediate. And then it was a lot more bloat after that, but then starting the plan, I did follow the the book, The Plan, in conjunction with Taryn's recipes and all of her stuff. And it was basically life-changing for me. Like, I really wasn't working out that hard. I was doing bar along with Taryn and the rest of her Mom Strong ladies. And, so that started in January, and just in finding those foods for me that I react to, the healthy foods that I was eating that were making my body inflamed, and I was holding on to weight. But so now that we're in May, I'm down 29 pounds. And so it's just kind of, I would love for it to keep going, but I definitely have just been like ping ponging between like 153 and 154 for about a week and a half. And I'm kind of not ready to accept that that's my resting point. I think I'm cheating in some areas. So I'm trying to rein myself back in. But it's just a mind shift and a change. And it's been really easy, like eating a lot more vegetables and eating the right foods that work for me. And it's freeing. I think some people kind of think like, oh, you're following a eating plan, like, oh, like you're doing keto or something like that. And it's like, no, I'm happy with how I feel. And it's just like, so even if my scale isn't really budging, it's definitely more of the non-scale victories now. Like my neighbor and good friend, she took a pair of my board shorts when she was pregnant, which felt awesome because apparently my everyday trunks before kids were her pregnancy clothes. But she threw them back at me yesterday, and she's like, you're going to want these. I'm like, oh, I think I'm almost there. We'll see. I don't know. And I went home and put them on, and they like totally fit. They were loose. So I literally sprinted over to her house and did like a victory lap in them. And like she and her husband were high-fiving me, well, elbowing since we can't high five. So it was just like, that's been good. So my advice is know what you're going into, but stick with it. Like, yeah, if you cheat, you want that handful of potato chips, eat the potato chips. I mean, I think a week into my doing everything, I went out to eat, and, part of me was like, oh, I've already, I've lost these like 10, 15 pounds already, and I don't want to jeopardize it. But it was like, you got to be happy. Like, you can't eat super duper regimented and not enjoy life, because that's not life. That's not living. So, have the glass of wine and have the little bit of chocolate and eat your veggies and you eat your meat. If you're into eating meat and everything too, like eat your meat if you can find it. So, yeah, that's it.
You're so awesome. I'm just like, that gave me chills again. And I know we've talked about it. So I appreciate you being willing to share that with everybody. But I love it when Amy hops on, which I never know what her schedule's going to be, because she's also a homeschool mom. Like, she homeschools her kids, not this online learning that we're all like, shock and awe over. So she's like, this is nothing. But, it's been a long play with us working together. And I just wanted you guys to see, everybody's at a different phase or, different goals, but I wanted you to see that the potential of, hey, you know what, you're going to learn a ton of information in 4 weeks, but I hope that it continues and you learn more as you go, because 4 weeks, you're going to see a crazy results, but it's the maintenance, it's the continuity of doing this and leaning into this community for support. And she's been invaluable to that. Terry, I know as well, she's not on right now. Anne Marie shares some amazing meals that she puts together as well. And she and I work more one-on-one together on things. So again, thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. So I see Christy's on too. It's again, just an open forum, you guys. I want to make sure that you ask questions, because most of you are in the, beginning phases and are really like waiting on the mail to come. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep.
Yes.
I think one question I do have, because I work out early in the morning. And so I think I mentioned this to you before, Taryn, about I've taken the Energize before in the morning, and that's been fine to get me through. But I had stopped taking it during the sugar detox week. And then last week, and I started it back this week just to see, because I'm still in the middle of 80-day obsession. So I'm in phase 2. and was decided I wanted to keep trying to push through to see if I could get through it again. And I can't drink a whole Energize anymore. It's too sweet for me. My taste buds have changed after this. And so, but I'm a little bit challenged on how to get that energy boost in the morning. Because I'm basically drinking lemon water, warm lemon water, which I've been doing for a long time, for years. And then I just added in the dandelion tea right after. So that's a lot of kind of fluid to get in first thing in the morning. And then try doing like half the Energize today. And that worked okay. But I wonder if anyone has any suggestions on how they're doing, if they're doing early morning workouts and their energy level on more the heavier lifting or heavier, more intense cardio days.
I would suggest, so, I mean, if the half a scoop of Energize works for you, then I would run with that. And if you're finding that it doesn't, it's just not enough, maybe you can gradually increase it. But what I do is on the Energize front, like I go full scoop. I mean, I love it. But I also have a mason jar that is full of water. So I'm literally like, I'll take 20 minutes before my workout and I'll drink that. So yeah, it's a lot of fluid, but it's 24 ounces that I'm finishing with a scoop. So you could dilute it a little bit more. That could be one option. Another idea would be you can you can brew a bunch of green tea and you could put it in the refrigerator. And then you could pour some of it, in a shot glass or in a glass of water and have that after your lemon water or in lieu of your lemon water. Just that will give maybe more of a natural, uptick in energy with the caffeine from the green tea. So those are two options. I don't know if anyone else has any ninja tricks that works well for you. You want to pass along to Claudine?
I haven't done Energize yet, but what I find works is actually when I do my Shakeology in the morning after I've worked out is usually when I crash. And so I have the cafe latte and I am totally guilty of putting less than my normal amount, but some actual coffee in my cafe latte and putting it in the blender, and it gets me through the rest of the day. I don't have that like post-lunch slump.
Awesome. Cafe latte is
Great.
the bomb.
Thank you.
Of course. Anybody else have any questions? Anything they want to share?
I totally had my treat meal yesterday and I didn't gain a pound, and I'm so excited. So I just want to piggyback off of what Amy said. Have the treat, but make sure it's worth it. And unfortunately, I have to jump off. I got another call coming in, but good luck, ladies.
Okay. Bye, Emery.
Hi.
Oh, go ahead.
I guess I'm just curious because I'm just starting. And you and I have already talked about kind of knowing what foods aggravate me and don't agree with me. But I guess with the whole inflammation thing, how do you kind of know if they're affecting you? What's the symptom that I'm going to get that I'm realizing, okay, I need to cut this out or this isn't working for me?
So there's a couple things. There's a checklist too that is in the group, but also you should be getting through your email as well. It's basically like a food sensitivity checklist. And so just some cues that you can start tuning into with your body, and you can literally like check them off, yes or no. But a couple things that I think are pretty glaring is obviously bloat. Like first and foremost, you'll probably know right away if something is not agreeing with you. Like I could tell when I have some of my favorite almond crackers, and sometimes I'm just like, screw it, I want them because they're just great. And there's those simple meals, right? But the cassava flour and I don't seem to mesh well together, even though it's like a great alternative. So I feel bloated right away. And might see it visually too. You might just kind of look down and be like, oh my God, your fingers can get, a little bit puffy, or they can get itchy. Obviously being in tune with how your stomach feels. Like, do you feel just gassy all of a sudden? Do you feel like stomach pains? If I have too many Brussels sprouts, like my stomach is like, I'm keeled over. It is an awful pain. Like you guys are probably, I don't know if anyone's overdid it on Brussels sprouts, but I have, and I don't recommend it. It makes me like gun shy to have them. But your skin, obviously long-term is going to be your sleep. If you have a crappy night's sleep, document that, like understand, like, oh my God, I was tossing and turning all night, or I got up in the middle of the night, a headache. Sometimes people feel like they get like white on their tongue. You know, but I mean, sometimes that's actually natural because it's the yeast coming out through this whole process, and it's kind of telling on how much yeast your body's holding on to. You know, itchy eyes, kind of allergic-like reactions, but I think the glaring ones are sleep, headaches, stomach pain, bloat, and then weight gain. So we talked about that being a pretty significant tool in this whole process. Is if you wake up in the morning and you hop on the scale, which again, you guys, I want to remind you, the scale is just a tool, right? But I know it doesn't work well for the, you know, the mindset, and that's okay too. But it's also a really interesting way to gauge, like, oh my God, what is this? You know, like I went up a pound, and some have even gone up 2 pounds from having quinoa, or like white rice versus brown rice. Like or not jasmine, but is it jasmine? Yeah, they're jasmine rice versus brown rice, right? Like some people just react completely different. And so, you know, those are kind of the things to look out for. But the checklist is in the Facebook group, and should be coming out through email. If not, I'll resend it to you. That help?
Yes, it totally helped. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. A couple things too I wanted to share with you guys, and then we'll wrap up. I don't want to sit here and like make everyone stare at a quiet screen, the awkward silence. But 2 things I have for you. So one, on the carrot and ginger soup, which my house smells amazing. I just realized I should probably turn the stove off. Blend it. Okay, I highly encourage you to add the coconut milk to the soup and blend it. You don't have to. I have one of my girlfriends that loves to eat the carrots, like have it be a little bit chunky, but I prefer it blended, kind of like the broccoli soup. So blend it, especially if you're using zucchini noodles like I had to resort to those. But another thing too, with it being spring and we're kind of warmer weather, some of the soups actually are pretty good cold. So I have another recipe that I'm going to be sharing with you guys once I kind of put it together in a pretty little form, and I'll be adding it to the back of the meal guides, but I'll be putting it in the group as well and sending it to you guys. Will be a cold soup recipe. So I'm excited to just hopefully over the course of the month be able to just, you know, add fun recipes that are seasonal. And of course, you guys got those May meal plans that I sent out, and if for some reason they didn't show up in your inbox, let me know. But one thing I just wanted to share with those is make sure that, like, those are tools, right? Like those are just tools that you get to kind of keep in your wheelhouse when you're looking for inspiration behind your next meal, right? Because you get into the testing phase, and there's a reason why this is not, hey, follow this for the entire 4 weeks, because I can't do that for everybody, because everybody responds differently. But also what I've noticed over time in doing this is the sustainability behind the results is far higher, because now you're learning the foods that work for your body, right? Like I can't tell Chrissy that she needs to have salmon and Brussels sprouts and whatever else, and then Ingrid goes and has that too, and she's completely miserable. Whereas Chrissy's like happy, like, woo, this is great, you know? So those recipes are just, you know, ideas, right? So say you look at one of the meals and you're like, okay, well, I have to sub out the pork and I can have chicken because I haven't tested pork yet. Or you know what, I want to try pork or salmon, whatever the protein might be, right? And then you haven't really had it with a certain vegetable that might be in there. Well, then, you know, sub it in for something that you have, especially if carrots work well for you. Like Trader Joe's is amazing. They have the frozen spiralized carrots. Those are awesome. And they are nice to switch up than having them sauteed all the time, or shredded on your salad or whatever. So there's ways to get creative, but I just want to remind you that they're tools. They're not, okay, this day I got to follow this one and this one on this day. I just want you guys to be left to your own devices at some point to be creative, and also allow yourself to be a science experiment. And that's why, you know, I always preface to anyone that's ready to go with this is like, you have to be willing to put in the work, because that's when the results will come and you will learn so much, which is why, you know, Amy's such a great testimonial to this, because, you know, she was kind of like went all in and it's like, well, this isn't a diet plan. I'm not eating one particular way. I'm eating the foods that are right for my body, because we're all designed differently. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different interests. So, and cultures, you know, so all of that has to be taken into consideration with your background, because you're wired, you know, everybody's wired differently. So your upbringing, and even when the time that you were in your mom's stomach and before that, takes a toll and has representation on the things that you are, that you respond to. And so that's what's kind of fascinating about it all, is that it's not just today or what we did to ourselves in college. It's even in utero, and it's even before that. Those patterns start to be molded into our parents. And then they have us, those DNAs are starting to mesh, right? So all those things come into play to a certain degree. But that's why, you know, it's kind of nice to be able to go through this and learn it about yourself. And I hope along the way, the things that you do learn, you guys share in the group. I know some people don't love Facebook, but if you feel compelled to take pictures and share, it's amazing for accountability, but it also offers a great inspiration for somebody else. Like, oh my God, I could totally, those are all foods that I've tried and that are friendly, and I never thought to put them in that combination. And I always get ideas from you guys too. So I always appreciate that. Sorry, hopefully you guys can't hear them in the background. But anyone else have any questions before we sign off? I don't want to keep you guys on this beautiful day. No?
Karen, I was just going to say, it's been really helpful for me and to Ingrid about tracking sleep and moods, as well as weight. And I'm also doing body temperature, but because I have been doing great. And then Cinco de Mayo, I celebrated, and I had a couple, you know, I had more than one thing that was, I hadn't tested yet. And so it was interesting to see I gained 1.5 pounds after that. But I looked back and I realized, you know, it wasn't necessarily the foods, but I had had a stressful day earlier that day, and I didn't get as much sleep. So it was kind of like a perfect storm. So I realized as I went back kind of on track and was able to kind of check it out, and that now, you know, I'm back to where I was on Tuesday. But when I was working through things, I was able to say, okay, I'm going to go back and have an extra hour of sleep. So I went to bed an hour earlier last night just to see how that would help things. And it's amazing how just little tweaks and any of those things between, like, you know, sleep or stress, you know, or as well as food and exercise, all adjust to our hormones and play a part. So that was kind of an interesting experiment for me to learn this week, and not get stressed about it, and realize that it was, you know, it was a combination. It wasn't something I ate where I would say, oh my gosh, I feel horrible, I had that margarita. You know, it was like, okay, you know, there was other things going on too. So next time, you know, for Mother's Day, if I end up having a cocktail, then I'll be able to test it. If I get a full sleep, I won't be as stressed, and then I'll kind of know. And I was also really excited to learn that, you know, I can eat, you know, chocolate and wine, red wine, which I stayed off of, and not gain any weight, actually lose weight. So that was kind of cool experiment.
It's fun what you learn.
Yeah, so I'm digging into recording all that, but it does mean I have to set aside that extra time every day to have that quiet time and put those things down into the journal.
Which I think is important for us to do for ourselves, you know, so maybe that could be the gift that we give ourselves after Mother's Day, is just saying, you know what, I'm going to commit to taking 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes at night to reflect and really just truly tap into your inner self, you know, not to get all woo-woo and stuff, but I think, like, I've been working on that a lot on myself because it's helping me manage all the stress that's come with everybody being home. So I hope you guys do that for yourself, because you will learn a lot about what sets you off, what doesn't set you off, what your capacity is, you know, what you want for the day and what you don't. Like, even just like mentally preparing that this is what I'm going to do as you progress. For me, it's like, I know that I'm not going to snack today because I don't need it, right? Because I'm going to give myself enough food at each meal to just, you know, be good to go. So that has helped me a lot too, because it's easy to get like, oh, well, I'll just eat that. It's not a big deal. It's, you know, it's healthy. So anyways, you guys, I have appreciated your time. I want to make sure I get you guys off and on your way. And I want to wish all of you ladies a wonderful, happy Mother's Day. It's been a gift to be able to do this with you guys. And I just so appreciate your trust and your loyalty through all this. It just really, really does mean a lot to me. So thank you so much. But I'll be here if you guys have any questions going forward. All right.
Thank you. Happy
You're
Mother's
welcome.
Day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Happy Mother's Day.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.